That was stellar timing. Just before we kick off the event, I will be doing a brief land acknowledgement. So before we begin, I would like to share the land acknowledgement. As a settler on this land and on behalf of NEADS, I would like to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are calling in from today. Our so-called Canada is built upon the ancestral and unceded territory of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. These unceded and unsurrendered lands were often taken through violent, non-consensual means, and colonial violence persists in our society today. We stand in solidarity with Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island as they fight for their rights, representation, and recognition. With many of us being settlers on this land, it's crucial we recognize our positions within oppressive structures and our roles and responsibilities towards reconciliation. Land acknowledgements like these are only a very small part of the lifelong, individual, and constantly evolving journey we must all take as we strive to improve relationships between nations and to improve our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. To learn more about the land you're on, a link to native-land.ca will be posted in the chat box below. Highly recommend. All right, and with that, I am very, very excited to introduce our lovely speakers for today. So welcome everyone to NEADS Financial Resources Information Session. We've got a lot of positive feedback about our programs, and we're really excited to share all of our resources with you today. So this is going to be a 1 hour long interactive event where we'll discuss NEADS Student Awards Program, Accessibility Resilience Program, disabilityawards.ca, and available graduate research funding. As NEADS promotes full access to education for post-secondary students with disabilities, reducing student debt is a core strategic objective we are guided by as we offer resources and supports to our NEADS community. I will now be handing it over to the NEADS Awards team, Katya Newman, Lauren Gravis, and Enola Akasanmi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren, and I will be presenting for the NEADS Student Awards team. And I do have Katja here, and Yola, I believe, might be joining us today as well. So we're here to answer any questions that you may have after the presentation. So thanks so much for being here today and taking your lunch hour. I know we have so many things to do during the day. So thanks so much for taking time out of your day to be here. It is so appreciated. So today I'm going to be presenting about NEADS financial assistance programs. So many of you may know that we have our NEADS Student Awards Program, which we've had since 2007, but more recently, we also have the Accessibility Resilience Program. So that makes up our financial assistance program. So I'll be talking with you today about that and providing an overview. So the NEADS, so just for those who may not know what NEADS is about and what our mandate is, the NEADS stands for the National Educational Association of Disabled Students. And our mandate is to support full access to education and employment for postgraduates, post-secondary students and graduates with disabilities from across Canada. So really representing a diverse group of students from across Canada. So in terms of an overview of what NEADS does, so we will be getting into the financial assistance programs in a moment, but just to provide you an overview in terms of our core strategic program areas, we are focused on 3 areas. So one is student debt reduction, the second is student experience, and the third is student graduate employment. So in terms of student debt reduction, which is what we'll be focusing on today, so our event is focusing on financial information resources. NEADS does this primarily through our financial assistance programs. So as I mentioned, the NEADS Student Awards Program and the Accessibility Resilience Program. We also do programming in the area of student experience, which is demonstrated in this event that you see today. So this is part of the virtual Access for All event series, which is sponsored by Employment and Social Development Canada. So our virtual Access for All project is a key component for how we are conducting student experience. And then we also have the third component, which is student graduate employment. And we do this through both our financial assistance programs, but also through virtual access for all and previous projects like the Breaking Down Barriers project. Moving on to the financial assistance programs, one of the things that is really key this year, and in general, I think, as many of you may know, is top of mind, is our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. So it is very important to understand the structural barriers that are being faced by members of the disability community. And so there is barriers associated with having a disability, but on top of that, it becomes more complex when you add in other factors like race, gender identity, sexual orientation, etc. So our commitment in our financial assistance programs is to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so our funding is being prioritized to students who come from multi-marginalized populations to really recognize the intersectional nature of our community. So in particular, we are prioritizing Indigenous peoples for funding, racialized communities, LGBTQ2+, and first generation Canadians, to name a few. So in terms of our evolution, so NEADS has been in effect since 1986. So it's been a while since we've been here. Our awards program, which was our first and main, it is our main source of debt reduction or effort towards debt reduction, was created since 2007. And then more recently, we stood up the Accessibility Resilience Program, which was meant to provide relief to students with disabilities during COVID times. And we have actually expanded the program into 2022, 2023 to be able to provide additional support. And I'll be going into that later, but just to provide you a sort of a timeline. So on the screen, there's a timeline moving from 1986 all the way to 2021. So in terms of some key highlights, so to date, we have given over 220 awards and grants through, and so this is combining the total number of awards and grants given through the NEADS Student Awards Program and through the Accessibility Resilience Program, which is really incredible. And the total financial assistance given to students to date is $465,000. So we've given out nearly $500,000 through our program, which we're very proud of. And so we have given over $465,000 to 220 students, which is pretty incredible. And we'll be able to expand our support this year. So this year we'll be giving around 40 awards through our 2021 NEADS Student Awards Program, and we'll be giving even more support through the expanded Accessibility Resilience Program. So I'm just going to break down and go into a bit more detail about the NEADS Student Awards Program and then the Accessibility Resilience Program. So through our NEADS Student Awards Program, we are really lucky to be able to have partnered up with our funders to be able to give out this year, I believe it is 7, so for 2022, 7 different types of awards, which is really incredible. And if you don't already know, so we give out awards through our NEADS Student Awards Program based on the funding that we receive based on our partnerships. So I think we have 4 key awards that we've usually had, and we're able to bring on 3 additional ones, which is pretty incredible. And so our highest value award is actually with Canada Post. It's valued at $10,000. And we also have an additional award through a new sponsor, which is Connor, Clark, and Lunn Financial Group. And so they're giving out with us a $5,000 award to students in business. So a student with a disability in the field of business or who has an aspiration to work in the field of business. And we also have the Bridgman Hogue Memorial Scholarship. So that one is also a more specific type of award. It's valued at $1,000 and it goes specifically to a student with a visual impairment or visual related disability. So we have various awards at different levels, ranging from 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 to 10,000. So ranging from 1,000 to 10,000 our awards range from. So there's various types of award, and you can check out our website for further descriptions of those. So in terms of the eligibility criteria, so for our NEADS Student Awards programs, to be eligible for the program, you must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, and you must have a permanent disability. So a permanent disability is defined as a permanent functional limitation that affects your ability to participate in education. And another key eligibility criteria is enrollment status. So when you apply, you must be accepted to a post-secondary institution at the time of application. So what that means is that you could be a high school student who is applying. So you just need to have proof of enrollment, right? So your acceptance letter from your university. Okay, so in terms of application requirements, a little bit about the application process. So NEADS has a fully secure, fully accessible application system. And so as mentioned, in alignment with the eligibility criteria, we ask for proof of enrollment, we ask for an official or unofficial transcript, and we also ask for a reference to speak to the applicant's character and extracurricular and or academic or community experience to show their leadership and dedication. And lastly, we have a questionnaire. So the questionnaire, it's a short questionnaire, and it has, it looks at the applicant's ability to demonstrate self-advocacy, commitment to their education, their record of extracurricular experience. And then we also have, for our Accessible Media Inc. Scholarship, so AMI scholarship, which is valued at $5,000. We also have a question that is specific to that award as well. So for those that are interested in applying for that, they just answer that specific question and then they automatically become eligible. So I'm just going to read off a slide, and it's a testimonial from one of our NEADS 2020 NEADS Student Awards 2020 program recipient, to just demonstrate the impacts that our program has on the lives of students with disabilities. And we receive like many testimonials from students, and just how much that the program means to them and how it has impacted their lives. And this is just one of them. It's truly incredible, and one of the reasons that I have been at NEADS for so long. So I actually have been at NEADS for 6-7 years now, and this sort of feedback and just personal experience from our programs is really what keeps me here and motivated. So the testimonial reads from Karen: "It is an honor to be a recipient of the 2020 NEADS Student Awards. Thank you for supporting disabled students in their higher education journey. This award empowers me to continue to pursue my career goals of working as a clinical psychologist, specializing in diverse populations, including individuals from the disabled community, by bringing my lived experience with disability into my clinical approach." So wow, just wow, we can see that the award has truly benefited Karen. in her academic and work experience as well. So moving over to the Accessibility Resilience Program. So as I mentioned, this program was stood up in 2021 in response to COVID-19 and the barriers associated with online learning. So the NEADS Accessibility Resilience Program, this year, so from 2022 to 2023, we are giving out 174 grants. So they're valued at anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. So we have two types of grants here. And again, this program is responsive to the COVID-19 situation. Our applications opened on December 1st, and our applications are being accepted on a rolling basis, which means that applicants will be selected on an ongoing basis. And they will hear back by March 31st, 2023, if they have the award or not. In terms of eligible costs, what we are covering under ARP is costs ranging from assistive technology, cables, accessories, so really any supporting technology to assist students with their educational experience and accessibility needs, ergonomic equipment, costs associated with living, internet bills, food security, as well as education, training, and software. And then other costs as well. So we know that rising tuition fees continues, and we also have an understanding that more support is needed in terms of covering mental health and wellness costs. So in terms of medication and psychological visits, for example.
Hey, Lauren, just a heads up, you are running short on time.
Yeah, I saw that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll end it here at the last slide. So the last slide reads, anonymous testimonial. Thank you so much for the Accessibility Resilience Program's financial support. This award is an absolute honor to receive. Since the pandemic began, my financial situation has been unstable, and this sum has allowed me to pay for my entire semester of university. So that is an overview of our financial assistance programs. And if you have any questions after the other presentations, we can answer those. So thank you so much for listening. Awesome. And back over to Carly.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I love learning about our programs. And yes, we will have a question and answer session later on. I will also be dropping our NEADS Awards team's emails later on in the chat, so stay tuned for that. I'm now going to turn it over to Aaliyah Petzak-Grant, who discussed disabilityawards.ca, an online directory of disability-specific scholarships.
All right, thank you, Carly. I'm just going to share the website in the chat. I'm quickly going to go over a little spiel about the website, about who I am and what Disability Awards is, and what I'll be talking about today. So I'm Aaliyah Petzak-Grant. I run disabilityawards.ca. I manage the website and add content. A bit about me: I'm originally from Nova Scotia, and I'm based in Ottawa now. So today I'll be going over the general site info. A website tour, so we'll be talking about the features, and I'll be going over the home page, a bit about needs and contact and frequently asked questions on the website. Then I'll be overviewing our scholarships, our scholarship templates, and how to navigate scholarship searches. And then we'll be going over our resources that we have on the site, and that includes a COVID guide, which will in detail goes about different supports that are available to students during this time, and also the state of the school report, which discuss transitions for students with disabilities. So I'm just going, and then I will be wrapping up the presentation. So I'm just going to share my screen here. And there we are. So here's the website. So I'll quickly go over my little spiel. So disabilityawards.ca is NEADS financial aid portal. It is designed to support students with disabilities. Since students with disabilities tend to incur extra costs associated with their pursuit to higher education. And along with that is just a general cost as well. So a question to the chat I'd like to ask. Lauren kind of answered some of these. What are some of the additional costs do you tend to face when you think of post-secondary? Anything in the chat? Oh, I can't see the chat.
Here, Aaliyah, if it's easier, I know you can't see the chat while screen sharing. I'll read out some.
Yeah, if you could, I was gonna. Perfect.
Yeah, we have Dawn and Elizabeth both say technology, and I've said time costs for managing accommodations. And Elizabeth says attendance services. Nice add.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what I had. I had a personal support worker, assistive technology, testing. That can be software and accessible textbooks. All great stuff.
Also, Dawn also says translation sign language.
Oh, that's a good one. I did not have that one. But yeah, there's many things, and just a general cost as well, because school is expensive, just tuition. If you're living on res, just the base cost. So even like just the base costs of university. And as I said, students with disabilities tend to incur these extra costs. And disabilityawards.ca aims to increase the awareness of available financial opportunities and create other opportunities for students with disabilities. So right now I'm on the landing page of Disability Awards. It's a pretty plain site. It's not too busy. It's very straightforward, simple. So I'm just going to read over our welcome page. So I can go over that. Welcome to the new Disability Awards website created by NEADS. This website was created to assist post-secondary students and search for hundreds of scholarships available across Canada, specifically for students with disabilities. If you have questions, concerns, you can contact us with the contact here. And the site is also available in French. So you can switch between French and English. Go back here. And then the About Us. Here, Lauren went over this in her presentation, so I won't go over this again. This is a bit, if you want to know more about who we are and what we do, that can be found here. And if you want to know more information about our NEADS website or our career development website, that can be found here as well. And there's a lot of great information can be found on this page and the scholarships we have available. I'm not going to go over it now. It's a lot of stuff, but I recommend giving it a read through. And then here is the contact page. So this is where you would go if you have any questions about the website, or would like to get in contact with someone about the website, and that someone would be me. So you can send me an email at my NEADS email. And some of the frequently asked questions that I receive are, I have a list here. So I often receive emails from parents asking about what type of scholarships their children are available for. How does it look like to apply? Can I send them resources? And the answer to all those questions are yes. I also one of my most common questions are there disabilities available for ADHD? Because when you search by disability, there's an ADHD category here, but it also falls under learning disabilities. So if you have ADHD, a lot of those, there are a few that are specifically for ADHD, but you're also applicable for learning disabilities that are for scholarships that are general learning disabilities as well. And then we have our search tab. You're able to search by disability, by province, by deadline, if you want to see what scholarships are upcoming. So if you were looking currently, so for February, or if you wanted to look for what's coming up in March, everything you need would be here. And then we have our government funding page. So it's all the provinces, their financial support. So Ontario, which I'm familiar with because when I went to school, I used OSAP. It's all the OSAP information here. And if you were from Nova Scotia and wanted to know more about the funding there, that's their program there. You could find all their Nova Scotia student grants information here. And now I'm going to go over a scholarship with you all. So we're going to go over the let's go over this one instead. Now let's go over this one here. So this is our scholarship. So all of our scholarships follow the same template. The name of the scholarship, a brief description of the scholarship, the amount, and this is an old scholarship. I'm on the back end of the site. So this is an older scholarship. It will be renewed likely around the same time, March 26, 2022. So we have the amount, number available, deadline, and how to apply and past winners, and all the information you need, the eligibility criteria, and the steps to apply. And every scholarship varies in what you need to apply. Some of them there's more steps. Some of them are straightforward, just going through your school's scholarship portal. Some it's just getting a reference letter. Some you have to write an essay. So it varies from scholarship to scholarship. Here, another example. Is the Walker Woods Award at Carleton University. So this is a scholarship offered from Carleton University, any student who's registered with their disability center, the PMC. And this is awarded to one student who is from the Maritimes. And the amount is $4,000 for 3 years, and it follows the number available, when applications open, and when they close, the criteria. So you must be registered as a student with a disability. Selection criteria, you have to be a Canadian citizen, demonstrated permanent disability, and be enrolled at Carleton. Access to the application, other awards, and how to get into direct contact for the award. And next, I'm going to switch over to resources. So we have a lot of great stuff here. So this is our COVID-19 guide for students with disabilities. One of the NEADS team members, Unique, worked on this guide. It has a lot of great information about COVID-19. I'm just going to go over the first paragraph with you and kind of briefly go over the COVID guide. So this guide is intended as a comprehensive and detailed account of Canadian, federal, provincial, and post-secondary initiatives that can help people with disabilities during the COVID-19 pandemic. Given that NEADS represents college and university students with disabilities, this guide is primarily focused on those measures that support disabled persons in post-secondary study. So the guide, there's the PDF and as well as a flip book of the guide. So it's the COVID-19 initiatives for people with disabilities and post-secondary education by NEADS. And Unique and Frank Smith helped work on this guide. So you can find information about NEADS, what is coronavirus, what are the federal and provincial initiatives, what are the programs and benefits available on a federal and a provincial level, what are the post-secondary initiatives, so what are colleges and universities doing to combat COVID, learning technologies, how are international students dealing with COVID-19, how are student unions
Hi,
events
Leah.
during COVID. Yeah.
Just a heads up, you have 3 more minutes. If there's anything you want to get to.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna wrap it up there. I'll go over the state of the school report real quick, and then I'll just be wrapping it up and plugging our social media. So this is the state of the schools report by Elizabeth. I'm just gonna go over a paragraph and all the information like the other page. You can download the PDF or look at the flip book, and we have 2 of them currently up on the site. So the State of the Schools report are made possible by NEADS Virtual Access for All project, a 2-year project empowering students with disabilities to successfully navigate post-secondary education. So a lot of these have information on that transition from high school to university and career transition, so how that looks like for students with disabilities. And I'm going to end here on the home page. And you can follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, social media, and we even have YouTube videos. And that's all from me. Thanks for listening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaliyah. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on with Aaliyah. There are so many websites and she does such a good job with them all. So thank you so much for being here. And now I'm going to hand it over to Elizabeth Mueller to discuss graduate resources available.
Thank you so much, Carly, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Mueller. I'm a researcher with NEADS. I've been around since 2013. So, wow, 9 years, time flies. So I just want to chat today about some resources specific to graduate students, specifically scholarships and grants and funding. So there's a lot of different scholarships out there, but today I want to focus on a couple. So Tri-Council scholarships. So when we say Tri-Council, we mean federally funded scholarships that you get as a graduate student. And there's 3: SSHRC, which is Social Science Humanities Research Council. There is the CIHR, which is the Canadian Institute of Health Research, and NSERC, which is Engineering and Natural Sciences Council. So those are the 3 major Tri-Council awards. So if you hear Tri-Council or your program says, please apply for a Tri, have I not started my video?
Sorry, Elizabeth. I turned it off when Aaliyah was going. I should have told you.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you see
look
it now?
fantastic. You look fantastic.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank
Wonderful. You. So yeah, that's Tri-Council, federally funded. They're PhD and master's scholarships, and they can be difficult to get. So definitely apply again if you're not successful in your first year. Ontario Graduate Scholarship. So that is obviously in Ontario for master's or PhD. It's a duration of 1 year, typically around 15,000. The Tri-Council ones I just mentioned can be a 1 year if you're in a master's program, but in a PhD, you can get a SSHRC fellowship. So I have a 4-year SSHRC fellowship. You can get 3-year fellowships. So they're a little bit longer in duration. There's also external awards. So every institution generally will send out emails encouraging you to apply for scholarships external to the organization. Those can be things like NEADS, obviously, the War Memorial Scholarship. There's often department-specific scholarships. So if you're in aging, Baycrest might have a scholarship if you're here in Toronto. So that's kind of what's meant by external awards. So those are kind of the 3 buckets that scholarship awards fall into for grad students. So grants versus scholarship, what is the difference? So a grant might be something that you get through OSAP, the Ontario Student Assistance Program, that you don't have to pay back. So I got a grant when I was in grad school for technology, for example. So that's money that's given to you. Sometimes it's based on financial eligibility or based on disability. You don't have to pay it back. Typically, you don't put grants on your CVs, but you would put a scholarship on your CV because that's based on not only financial merit, but based on your academic and community participation. So that's kind of the distinction between a grant and a scholarship. So how do you build a strong scholarship application? And to be honest, this will apply whether you're doing a graduate scholarship through Tri-Council or OGS or a NEADS scholarship. So you need a strong proposal. So that's really kind of the meat and potatoes. This is the roadmap that shows people what you want to do. So you're going to tell the person, so what, who cares, why is this important? So you know your research is important, but you have to convince the scholarship committee. Often people that review scholarships are volunteers. They might be faculty doing this off the side of the desk, and they probably have hundreds to review. So you want to stand out. So in a proposal, you want your introduction to be really strong. You want to set the tone, set the stage. Why is this research important? Why now? Why is this a worthy topic? So you're maybe putting in some quotes, some statistics, and you're really kind of unpacking what is significant about this at this day and time. You want to talk about your theoretical framework. So your underpinnings theoretically? How are you grounding your study and your methodology? You're not going to know everything about your methodology if you're applying as a first year master's or PhD student, and nor should you, but you want to think it through. You want to really think through, what am I going to be doing? How am I going to be doing it? How am I going to collect data? And you want to show that you've given it some thought, because again, that'll make a strong proposal. And then finally, the implications for your research. Like, what do you think, just based on what you've read, the implications for your research are? You want to talk about who you are and what your areas of research are. So your positionality, speaking a little bit about who you are as a research and what your areas of research interest are, and really clearly delineating those. How did you get to that point? So references, really important. A couple of key things with tri-council references, especially, your application is not considered complete until you have your references in. And I actually think that's the same for many scholarships. So it's important, a couple of things. Ask well in advance. As we know, faculty and staff are busy. But also, it's quite common in my department for a faculty to say, could you provide me a bullet list of all of the points that you want me to cover in your reference letter? So you're not writing your own letter, but you're kind of crafting how it is you want to be positioned by that faculty member. So you're really thinking through in that, how do I want this faculty member to talk about my accomplishments? What do I want them to focus on? Is it my grades? Is it my extracurricular activities? Is it my publications? Is it all those things? That's what you're going to talk about in your bullet points. So you're really going to want to think through how you want to be represented. And follow up with reminders. When I applied to SSHRC, my supervisor had several requests for references, so reminders were very much appreciated. Sometimes in the system, it will remind your references, like if they're doing a reference in system, which means you're applying on a scholarship system, it will send reminders, but sometimes it won't. So it's a really good idea to follow up. So it's really important to spend time on this reference portion of the application if you're asked, and think really carefully. This is something I learned about who you're asking for a reference and why. So if you're being asked specifically by a scholarship to give an academic reference, think about somebody who can speak to that. If you're being asked by a scholarship to give a community reference, who can speak to that and why? So really think through that. I wanted to share that with CIHR, so the Canadian Institute of Health Research. They have done some great work around diversity and inclusion. They have just struck a committee, an external advisory group on systemic ableism and accessibility. And what's really nice about that is I'm a part of that group, and that group is going to guide the development of the strategic plan and the accessibility action plan. So what kind of research is funded? What kinds of researchers are we supporting? How are we supporting more equitable research? All of those things are involved in that action plan. Also with SSHRC, which is the Social Science, Humanities, and Research Council, there's a really great diversity portion of the application now that allows you to speak to things like if you've had any barriers in your education and maybe that's why your grades are a little bit lower or you took more time, or are you impacted by for example, COVID, and you've had to take some time off. So that's new. And I wanted to point out those diversity and inclusion facets because they're quite new within the last year or so. It's really important to work with your supervisor to determine what scholarship to apply for, because you can't apply to all of them. And as our scholarship team here knows, they've been reviewing applications. You can tell if someone's recycled an application. So you don't want to do that. So think about what's going to be most valuable for me. And this was really tough for me because I'm in health and rehabilitation sciences. So I would have thought naturally CIHR, but not so. My research is more about well-being and participation. So I ended up applying to a social science scholarship. So your supervisor can guide you, your committee can guide you, peers in your program can guide you, but just be very mindful of what you're applying to because the applications do take time and we're time poor, we're grad students, so we only have so much time. So also just be aware in your program how are scholarship funds dealt with? And what I mean is, in some programs, you may be not permitted to TA because you already have external funding, so they don't give you funding to TA. Or if you do get a teaching assistant position, you may be put at sort of the bottom of the list, or perhaps your funding from the program is cut back. So just be aware of, if I get this scholarship or this fellowship, what program funding am I now eligible for or not, and what other opportunities might I be excluded from? This is really cool around mentorship. I wanted to point out, ask if your institution has a mentorship program. So senior students that have been successful applying for and receiving scholarships can kind of mentor you through the process and talk to you about what it is you need to make a successful application. In our program at Western, they'll even review your application and give you feedback. That's really awesome. So definitely take advantage of that, as well as workshops through your university or college writing center. Those are really helpful to kind of help tweak your application. So I just want to end by talking about what can or cannot be held together. So if you get a Tri-Council scholarship, which is a federal scholarship, you cannot also hold an Ontario graduate scholarship. But also be aware, if you're applying to external awards, they may say you can't hold a Tri-Council award. So for example, I was trying to apply to Vanier, and because I hold a SSHRC, I wasn't able to apply. So just be very mindful. You don't want to put in all the time in applying to a scholarship only to find out you're not eligible. So I think I'll leave it there. I know that was a very quick tasting tour, but I did want to bring in some information about the Tri-Council and OGS awards to give people a flavor for the diversity of scholarships and awards that are out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I'm in my undergrad, so personally, that was all very new and very exciting. So thank you so much for that. And it's really great. Elizabeth's currently doing her PhD and just is such a fantastic researcher, everything she does. So it's so great to have you here. I'm now going to open it up to just a live open Q&A. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, any comments, feel free to either raise your hand and unmute yourself or drop it in the chat box. Or if you'd like to stay anonymous, feel free to DM your question to me as well. Awesome. I see Sissy has their hand up. If you'd like to unmute, go for it.
Hi, hello. Great presentation. So much info. I'm obsessed already. I just wanted to know what outreach options you had and how students would be able to find out about these awards and scholarships.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite question because that is my job. So we have a lot of different options for keeping up to date with all of our financial resources. My personal favorite, because it's the one I do the most, is going to be the NEADS newsletter, and I will put the sign up link in the chat. But it's really exciting. We do have a section designated just for upcoming scholarship deadlines. So about once a month, you have upcoming scholarships delivered right to your inbox, as well as community news, upcoming events like this, things like that. We do also have all of our social media pages, and that's where we will also share some information. And finally, we do a lot of events. We share all of our information there as well, and within our network, and that includes everything from community organizations to disabled on-campus student groups. Hope that answered your question. All right, any other questions? Awesome, Tina, I see your hand up if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Thank you. You might have already answered this. My doorbell rang and my fur baby exploded. I'm wondering if you, if these grants are sort of distributed equally across Canada, or if you sort of focus more on high needs communities and how that's distributed, please.
Awesome. I'm going to sauce that question over to the NEADS Awards team if anyone wants to get it.
Hi, Tina. One sec. Oh, can you see me? Yeah. So yes, that's a really, really great question. So as mentioned during the presentation, so one of the things that we're really focusing on, and I think is on the top of everyone's minds, is our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. So as I mentioned, we are prioritizing funding to students with disabilities from equity deserving groups. Being a person with a disability is an equity deserving group, but again, there's that multi-marginalization context. So that's what we're prioritizing. But in addition to that, as you very beautifully mentioned, you know, we are a national organization, and part of that is delivering awards to students from across the country. So we do prioritize regional representation as a criteria as well as different levels of education. So whether because a lot of our students come from different educational backgrounds, whether that's having a master's, just coming into a program from a high school, right? So different levels of education. So there are multiple criteria that are balanced out with that. And happy to talk a bit more offline if you'd like to message the NEADS team at our address too. I hope that answers your question. Thanks again for that.
And I am getting some questions in the chat, so I'll take one of those and then go over to Lei. So one question we have is, and I'll just read it. So my limitation makes it that I am unable to study full-time, only part-time, as I have a writing statement of that from my orthopedic surgeon. Question, am I eligible to apply to one of your awards? I'm going to direct that to Lauren again.
Okay, so if I understand the question, there is a lower course load. So I think, yeah, as long as it's defined in the context of the, Frank might need to help me out with this one, if you can, Frank, because I just want to make sure I'm answering the question appropriately.
I think with the NEADS Student Awards program, we talk about full-time with respect to course load as 40% of a full course load, which is the standard that's used by the Canada Student Loans and Grants Program, or the Canada Student Financial Assistance Program now as it's called. And then with the Accessibility Resilience Program, do we have a requirement for full-time student status? I'm not sure about that. You might be able to clarify that.
There is currently no, yeah, so thank you for clarifying that. So for yes, it's the 40% course load for NEADS Student Awards program, and currently there's no, like the Accessibility Resilience program is more flexible, so you would be eligible to apply for that.
Awesome. Hope that clears that up. And then we're just going to take a question from Lei and then some more from the chat. Lei, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hi, actually it's Lee. So I was wondering if there's anywhere on your website where you have like a guideline about what you might want to include in your application, your written application for scholarships.
Awesome. And by written application for scholarships, do you mean one of NEADS awards or more so for disabilityawards.ca?
I would say in general.
Okay. I do know that we have specified the application requirements for ARP and the NEADS Student Awards program on our websites. I will find those links and send it to you. And then for disability awards, we're more of a directory, but we always include our source links. You can always click that and they will usually include more definition on that. But I will definitely look into that and see if we can develop a resource for how to apply to scholarships. That is a fantastic idea.
All right, thank you.
Awesome, hope that answered the question. And a question from the chat is, if we apply for a $5,000 COVID response award and we don't get it, will we also be considered for one of the $1,000 awards? If anyone from awards team wants to grab this one.
Sorry, I can answer it. I just need a reminder because I was about to type in the chat and just mention that we are, so we do have a frequently asked questions for the NEADS Student Awards program. And one of the things that we're working on is developing more comprehensive application guides as well. So you stay tuned for that. What was the question, Carly?
So the question was, if you apply for a $5,000 COVID response fund or ARP and you don't get it, will you also be considered automatically for a $1,000 award?
So it's prioritized based on need. And so for what we have allocated is a number of $5,000 awards. So what that means is if you put in your application that you wanted the $5,000 one, but we've kind of maxed that out in terms of the amount of people we can give that out to, you would still then be considered for the $1,000 one because there is much more of that. There's much more, yeah, like we have much more to give out in terms of the 1,000 than 5,000. So those ones are a little bit more due diligence, but that doesn't mean if you don't get the 5,000, you wouldn't get the $1,000 one. You're still considered. So I would suggest if you still want the highest value to put that in there, of course. But of course, some people might not need that. So then they would put 1,000. So it depends on you. But again, it will not impact you.
Awesome. Thanks for clearing that up, Lauren. And then another question from the chat is, what is the definition of disability, and is self-identified disability eligible? So maybe like what kind of proof of disability is needed in applying to applications? Awards team, if you want to take that one too.
Actually, keep my camera on. I'm gonna keep my camera on. I have been like snacking in the background because it's lunchtime. But okay, so that's an excellent question. So the reason why, and if you're not already aware, we actually do self attestation as part of our application process, is because we have required proof of disability, and we do for those who are actually getting the awards or the grants themselves. But one of the things we found is that we were getting proof of disability, but then we were unnecessarily getting the information and someone's not getting the award, right? So we have 400, 500 documents that we don't really need to see. So what we're looking for is, yes, we want you to click on the application form that you have a disability. But in addition to that, so if you you actually are selected for funding, what we expect from you then is to give us proof of disability, but that is protecting your personal information, right? Because that's one of the reasons why we streamline this. And so, getting a note from your accommodation center for proof of disability. It could also be from a doctor. Again, we want minimal details, just saying that you have one. We don't really need all the information, right? We really want to build this system based on trust, and we don't really want to see all that documents. And that's a burden on everyone applying as well. So basically, again, just whatever proof that looks like. We know that not everyone does register for the accommodation services. So we'd recommend a medical professional at that point. But again, with as limited information as possible. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discussion there about like moving from medical to social models for another time, but I'm really happy that NEADS has gone for the self-attestation personally. We are getting short on time, so I'm going to take a question from Parveen and then answer France's question from the chat.
I have a question of when people should apply for the ARP. So I'll just give like a specific-ish example. I've done like a student loan estimate, and I'm going to be coming under what my, it's law school. So I'm definitely going to be coming under I'm not going to have enough student loans. And so I will be applying to other bursaries and scholarships, but at what point should somebody apply to the ARP if they have unmet need?
Excellent question, because as we know, education is not free in this country, right? And there is a strong financial need. So it's like, you kind of need to go to a bunch of different sources to get the funding you need to do your education and financially survive, amongst other barriers. So I would say, yeah, like if you haven't applied to ARP before and gotten, say, $5,000 award, then I think it's fine. Apply. I think, but part of that is like, okay, I think just knowing yourself and like what is your financial need, right? Like some people do need that because they don't have employment, right? Like, so just really assessing that, like we want you to sort of assess that, but I would say like it sounds like you are eligible to apply, but I think that's kind of like a self decision, but for me it's fine. I would welcome you to apply.
Yeah,
Thank you, Pavan.
One of the eligibility requirements of ARP is to prove that your needs have gone unmet by provincial and federal funding. So you seem to be in that boat, so feel free to apply. We're doing a rolling application thing where applications actually close December 15th of next year. Well, this year now, December 15th, 2022. So definitely can't lose anything by applying. We really do invite you to apply. I really hope that answered your question, Parveen.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Awesome. And also, congrats, good luck on law school. And then one more question, and I'm going to wrap the event up. This is from Francis. For the Accessibility Resilience Awards program, do students need to be in class, or can students taking online courses apply? This is one of my favorite questions. The ARP program was actually created pretty much during the transition into online learning. So of course, we welcome those taking online courses to apply. I'm pretty sure that's as long as it's with any like affiliate specific, official post-secondary institution, but of course, online classes definitely apply. And I do believe that's the end of questions. So I'm going to do some shameless promotions of upcoming NEADS things. So we will be hosting Michelle Hewitt of Disability Without Poverty February 4th at 12 p.m. EST to discuss building sustainable movements and addressing disability poverty. If you are interested in not just financial resources, but financial burdens people with disabilities face, definitely worth showing up. I'll drop a link to the Zoom registration there. We will also be planning future events sort of like this. But if you're a representative of a student organization and you would like to speak on key topics like mental health, student advocacy, and equitable return to campus plans, please email me at carly.fox@needs.ca. We are hosting a panel on March 4th and are seeking panelists. And then I will be dropping all of our social media links into the chat. That is a fantastic way to stay up to date on everything NEADS is doing, upcoming events, opportunities, and newly available resources. Awesome. And with that, we can stop the recording. Feel free to stick around, chat among